Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Piper CJ's The Gloom Between Stars.
Yeah.
We don't end
Listen.
on a cliff note or cliffhanger this time, at least.
Listen. The second half of this book is so much better than the first half.
It really does pick up.
It picks up very quickly, and a lot happens. This chapter was weird. Like, it started out super weird. Because we're in Amaris's room, and Gadriel comes in and is talking about, like, he's being super fucking creepy, okay? And he's talking about all these ways that he has, like, helped people access their abilities, or helped Faye and his soldiers access their abilities. And he's like, I've lit people on fire, I've broken bones, I've held heads underwater. And it's super fucking creepy. And I was just like, this whole time, I was like, I feel like I missed something. Like, I even went back and looked at what the chapter before was. I was like, what is going on?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. And it was just super uncomfortable. And, you know, we start in with the choking and the arousal.
I just like that he did the book lean on page 269.
I can't. Like,
The, where was it? At, like, towards the bottom of it, he just leans up against the
yeah.
up on the wall behind her, and she's like, ugh, as she's hitting on, or as he's like hitting every part of her sexual nerves.
Yep. And I just, I can't. So basically, they discover, or think they've discovered, that her shock wave, sonic boom, what do they call it?
I think they started calling it a sonic boom, but then it's more of a shockwave.
Yeah. So that power she accesses when she's turned on, which is fucking weird. Okay. Fucking weird. Because, like, what are you gonna do in battle? You just hold on. Let me flick the bean for a minute. Like,
yeah, I yeah, I don't know. On I'm just I I'm just so confused. Like, I get it, that is a thing. Like, the companionship in dire situations, the, like, rough sex, whatever. I understand that's a thing. However, I don't know if they're thinking about what to do in that situation. Like, oh shit, like, okay, this is the only time she can ever do that. Okay, well, we got to figure out
no,
other
they're
ways.
not. They're
They're
just
just like, oh
continuing
yeah,
to.
let's have sex.
Yeah. Well, and then there was another part that annoyed me. On page 273, she is, like, about to pass out. She thinks that she's losing this fight, and there's a comment, or she's thinking in her head in the third paragraph on that page, where she's like, this was it, she was going to go under, he'd won before she even knew they were playing. Bitch, what did you think was happening when he came in your room and started talking about, do you know how I've helped people train and discover their abilities? And what did you think was happening? What do you mean you didn't know about the game? I I don't I don't understand.
Yeah, and Gadriel tried to I think he okay, so we later find out that he is essentially asking her to, like, be in a consensual relationship, whatever it is, whatever boundaries there are, but he's not clear about it, and that's what really irks me, because he's like, "I've helped these people in different ways, but you know what I haven't done? I haven't
Yeah.
crossed the boundary." And it's like, "Great,
Okay.
so are you willing to cross the boundary to help me, or, like, what are you trying to say?"
Right. And she takes it as you're crossing the boundary with me because you're trying
To
to help me
help.
train,
Yeah.
not because you feel anything, but because you're
Mhm.
trying to help me. And yeah, he's not very great at
Communication.
yeah,
You
which
know, for a general of a military, you would think communication would be, one of those selling points of your station.
that's
Fucking
another
nepotism.
thing about Gad that reminds me of fucking Rowan from Throne of Glass series. Like,
Well, good, I just bought that.
oh my god, I can't wait. I cannot wait for you to text me with your heart in fucking pieces. Because this is what you did to me with Akatar.
Tit for tat.
Yep, I can't wait. And I'm not even finished with Throne of Glass yet, but I can't wait.
Oh, good times. There's like a, we finally, like did you hear that?
I did. I did hear that one.
Yep.
What is
I
happening?
I have no idea.
Is Will home?
Yeah.
Oh, well, who knows?
He might have walked out to, like, go do something, or he's in the bathroom.
Crazy girls.
Solid. Solid.
They just wanted to
Anyways,
be on the podcast.
he really did though. So after all of that was happening, she shattered her fucking window. Like, imagine Fourth Wing with Zayden and Vi Violet. I about called her Viola, I don't know why. But Violet, during their whole thing when she first realizes what her power is in a way, um, shattering everything in there, having to clean it all up. She shattered all of that in her room and her window. So then she has to go sleep somewhere else. So he goes and sleeps in the barracks with his troops, and she takes his room. Cool. She dreamed of him when they went under, and I was like, are we gonna wake up to her having like a wet dream and he comes in smelling it and like all the like I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm
No,
not
but
ready
what
for
we
this whole
get is not great
Fae
either.
bullshit. True. It's really weird. So apparently Amaris is dreaming. She's outside naked, but not actually like feeling any cold, anything like that. And she sees Gad fully clothed, and then she starts like, oh, it's because he's not giving me everything, and I've bared my soul for him. Um, which I don't think she has. I think she thinks
No,
she has, but
she
she
absolutely
definitely
hasn't not.
hasn't. Um, and then Nox is just sitting there like, what the fuck?
I'm gonna be honest, I preferred the dream of the Reeve.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh my god, do this or do that. And like, get yourself a blanket. What the hell? Like being very Nox about it all.
And this
And
this situation though, I was kind of on Amaris' side because Nox is like, Goddess Amaris, summon yourself a blanket or something. And she's like, what? Is it uncomfortable when I refuse to cover up after you've entered my encounter with another? Kind of like Nox did to her when she walked in after she was with Yaz. So like, I was like, mm.
Yeah. And then she was actually, they actually shared the dream, which was pretty cool because
Yeah.
she, like, imagined a house in Yelligan, and then they did their heartfelt bullshit, whatever thing, and I honestly thought we were gonna, like, kind of witness a memory of the attack because they thought they were, Knox for a second thought that she was in a dream of somebody from Yelligan because of, like, the farmhouse that she saw,
Mm-hmm.
the goats, all of, like, the farm animals. Um, then it's kind of like what could have been kind of thing. So it's a memory of what they thought they could have. But I swear to God, I thought we were about to witness the attack all over again.
Oh gosh.
Um, but then they're, I don't know, during their conversations with each other, they're, I don't know, I feel like Amaris is kind of maybe dead set on Gadriel and then like doing this whole side quest for Nox, even though she's, I don't know. The dynamics
Yeah.
between all of this is different for me in my understanding, and maybe I think it's a little weird just because like there's no clear cut anything, but like I'm monogamous, so like maybe that's just my
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's it because these characters I don't think are monogamous. Like
yeah.
I think that's the part of her point in the books.
And then it's just weird too because it's like she wants to sexually be with Gadriel and like be something more with him, but then she also wants to be with Nox, so it's like you want to be with the cousins. And I feel like
Ah.
Nox, yeah, see where I'm like, ugh. Um, and I feel like Nox,
I mean, I guess as long as they don't all three come together, as
true,
long as it's her with him and her with her.
yeah. I feel like with Nox and her situation, like she's still dead set on Amaris, but like because of like her being a succubus, she needs that like not attention, but like she needs that like comfort and all that, and she mutually respects and cares for Malik, and so maybe she doesn't necessarily see like maybe she would like enjoy being with him for a time, but I don't think she believes he's end goal. I
Yeah.
want to believe he's end goal because I love them together. Like that is something Knox needs. After all the
Yeah,
years of abuse with men, I feel like
I
the
don't think
caring
that she would get
everything.
everything she needed from him though.
True.
Because I think Knox needs some challenge in her life and he doesn't give her that. He's like safety and easy and
Mhm. Definitely I understand where you're going because like she'll do one thing and then not that he like questions her in any way, like he'll like question her to think differently,
yeah.
but but that active like challenge that a succubus probably would thrive off more, I don't think he offers that.
Yeah. Agreed. But that dreamscape is the end of chapter 24. And then we go into chapter 25. Um and Gadriel and Amaris are, I don't know, trying to
Something.
communicate, attempting to communicate. Um, Gad's like, I would like to talk about what happened last night if you would. Um, and he's trying to talk to her about it and like have a conversation. And but she is coming from a place of hurt because she feels like he only did what he did to help her access her power, not because he cares about her. And so she's
Yeah.
like, I access my shockwave. Like she's shutting him down a little bit. Um,
I feel like the way he did it, not necessarily like to access the shockwave, but to, like the way he spoke to her afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that he went all like he didn't go about it the right way.
Yeah, and I think that they both are bad at communicating, and they're both
Yeah.
coming from different life experiences. So, like,
Mhm.
when one of them says something, the other one interprets it a different way.
Yeah. To be fair for Amaris, Nox just always like knew what she needed. So like she
Yeah.
never had to communicate any of that.
Yeah. But
And
also, she's being a brat.
I
Like,
mean that too. I'm not saying she's not.
I
But I
get that it
also
comes from
think
a place of hurt and like confusion, but she's being a
yeah.
brat.
I also think that Gadriel is used to being like the dominant,
Mhm.
whether it be BDSM style kind of sex or the whole like a little vanilla but a little more like,
Yeah, and even in his day-to-day
exploratory.
life, like he's a general, so like he is always the one who says how it's going to be, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And Mars
So
is
like
not falling in line.
yeah, and that yeah. So I think that also comes into play with them. Stupid. I just I just when they go to Obeyed, all I'm thinking is it's like what is she gonna do? Like submit her way all the way to the queen? Like that this is some great training. Like that's the
Right.
only thing I can think about with any of this.
Yeah, well, because they just keep going with it. Like they instead of trying to figure out another way to trigger it, they keep going with triggering it this way, and it's like. But also on page 289, the she is kind of like trying to seduce him. They're laying in bed cuddling basically, and he's like, I don't think it's wise to risk destroying another bedroom. And she like wiggles her butt against him. Like, and he's like, don't do that. And she's like, or what? And she's like, I'm sure I can have sex without turning the castle into rubble. And he's like, are you? But I'm like, I get it, but also like she has to learn to control it at a certain point. So she she's gonna have sex in her life. So maybe she should try doing that without, you know, knocking down the castle.
I also think that if she were to have sex, like whether or not it's with him or somebody else, I feel like she would also learn. Like anytime she gets turned on or anything like that, like maybe the effect, the anticipation of everything, the unknown of everything will actually help her and like stop her from having that like ultimate reaction.
Right.
Because then she knows what's coming. She knows what's there. She's not anticipating it happening and like wanting to happen and then just never getting it. But
Yep.
whatever, I'm not a general in the military. I don't don't know anything about military strategy or training or whatever, Gadriel.
Yeah. And then the rest
But
of the chapter after that awkwardness is done, um,
it's just more awkwardness, I guess.
is like a meeting, like a war room debriefing. They're all catching each other up on stuff. There's one awkward moment where Nox asks Gadriel how Amaris' training is going.
And that she wants to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's ready. No, you don't think it's ready? Maybe you should consider that it's going to have to be ready here soon, especially if the queen's asking. So, just
Right,
saying.
right. And then she also um, asks Tanith like if she has anything to contribute, which I think is really smart on her part. Um,
Yeah, like it's one thing for her to attend these meetings, it's another to actively say something. and get her opinion on stuff from a different point of view. And that's exactly how she goes at it. She goes, well, if you were at one of these kind of meetings back in Soulgrave, how would it
What?
go? What
Yeah.
would you want to bring to the table?
Yep.
Tanith's like, me?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess this is what I would say.
And I feel like that's good too because it's giving her kind of like how when we deal with behavior children, we give them some power in the situation, we give them some respect and some responsibility. And that's kind of the same thing we're going at about with Tanith here, I feel like.
Yeah. You give them options and then they choose that option and then you reward them with going through that choice.
Yep.
Behaviorism 101.
Yep. And then that's the end of chapter 25, which is also the end of part 3 of the book. So part 4 is called To Know and Be Known. And it starts with chapter 26, which starts out by them talking about how Ash needs to visit Allele, his dad.
This was a fucking crazy chapter. Not
Yeah, it
crazy
was.
like an Amaris and Gadriel chapter. It's like action-packed crazy, which
Yeah.
is weird for this kind of episode. Not this kind of episode, this kind of I don't want to say this book, but
Yeah.
it's sporadic when it happens.
Yeah. And yes, just yes. So she's
bitching about where Cobb is, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to Cobb?
right.
Is
What
Cobb
the heck?
alive?
Yeah.
Is like, where is he?
Because they have to ride different They have to drive different horses. They have to ride different horses. And Tanith is pissed because she has to go with them and ride a horse with Ash. But they get to the like Reaver's safe house or whatever outpost thing, and no one's there. And at first I was like, "Oh fuck! Like, are they dead? What happened?
Did
Like,
Soulgrave find them? Yeah.
yeah." I did not expect what actually happens. But
Yeah.
after about 15 minutes, Graham shows up. But then on the top of page 302, I had to stop reading. There was a incorrect word used, and it completely took me out of the story.
What page was it?
302.
At the top?
It's in that top little paragraph. So Amaris and Malix didn't have the repertoire with Allele that they did with Grimm.
Oh.
That is the wrong word. It completely took me out of the story, and I was like, wait, do I not know what that word means? Like, that doesn't fit there, right? Like, I had to look it up and everything. I was like really confused. So that's not the right word. Really threw me off, took me completely out of the story, had to get back into it.
I was gonna go off on a tangent and be like, but they're implying that their commonality is not, as extensive.
No, it doesn't work.
And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna argue that.
It doesn't work. It does not work. It really threw me off. But anyway, also on page 302, I feel like maybe they should have seen it coming that the Reavers who are on a mission to find out about the threat from Soulgrave are going to react badly to Tanith.
Have they always known that they were doing stuff for Soulgrave, or were they just trying to figure out where the increased amount of monsters?
I think they knew that the monsters were coming from Soulgrave. I don't think they realized that Fae were coming, but I think they knew that the monsters were coming from there.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of felt like maybe we should have seen that coming. Not us, but like
Yeah,
them, the Reavers at least.
I guess they just didn't. I feel like the 3 young Reavers are very all about the brotherhood.
That's fair. And
And these two have
Allele's
been,
been gone for so long.
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like maybe not Grem, but Leo's been kind of stuck
Yeah.
in that location forever.
Yeah. And so we go back and forth for a few pages of Allele trying to speak with Tanith alone and Ash not allowing it. Um,
Which I, okay, I've thought way too much about this like moment, because I'm just gonna blame working in child services, um, because it's absolutely insane if you dig deeper into like the what's happening, that these guys are in a brotherhood. They trust each other with life or death. They believe that nothing, they would do nothing to harm whatever, especially if it's like a ward that they're watching, for instance, Ash with Tanith. And it's just like, look, I trust you, but I also am not going to leave her alone because that's my job. Like that's what I'm supposed to do. And it's amazing because it's like sometimes kids don't have a way to express their concerns and how scared they are because they're not often in that situation, hopefully. Um so when they are in that situation, they just don't speak up. They just might not have the confidence yet, anything like that. And the fact that Ash, for instance, will say he's the father. He's the father of Tanith. Tanith is the child, and she's like scared. She doesn't know how to say it, and he's like, "No, Dad, you're not going to take her into the other room and talk to her." And because there's so many, like one of the biggest uh, problems with sexual abuse cases, trigger warning, um, is family.
mhm.
Most family, I think, and I had a lot of sexual abuse cases when I worked there for like, I feel like for the barely 2 years I worked there, I had, out of all the cases I've had, and at one point I had 32 on my like dashboard. Most of these cases were, and I had like, I think 400 in the couple of years I was there. Most of them were sexual abuse cases, and the majority of them were family members who have also been sexually abused, or children who were exploring and didn't know how to like appropriately speak, like communication wise. And if you like truly think about it, it's like Ash is taking that trust that he has with the Reavers and being like, look, she's not comfortable with that. I will not be doing it unless like we're together. And I love that. Not that anyone else
Yes.
is going to see it from that point of view, but
No, I definitely did as well, but we also have similar
when you
backgrounds.
yeah, when you see it often and you see like these kids speak about it so often, you're just like,
Yeah,
it's more common than you people think it is, and it's crazy.
absolutely.
And then it's like you're sitting there like, damn, like that happened to me. I wish I was that person for me when I was that age. And
Yep.
so it's
Yep.
crazy. Anyway, sorry about that little side quest. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, they just go back and forth like that for like multiple pages. And then I just, on page 308, it's not necessarily on page 308, but that's where I made the comment. I feel like where did this level-headed, mature Ash come from? Like, he's not even like, he's just like, it was good to see you, Father, but it was a mistake to come as a group. I'll return on a better evening to discuss what I've learned of the demonic presence in the kingdoms. I think we need to be on our way. Like, he's just like, this is not productive. We're going to take ourselves out of this situation. We'll talk about it another time.
Think about it though. Trauma really does that in abandonment. You
Yeah.
like step up to the plate and you don't really realize that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're just like taking control of everything that you never, ever, ever had to do with before. It's great.
Yep. This situation, like I imagine, so because of trauma, because of current climate, because of all kinds of things, because of my own personal mental health diagnoses, I keep imagining and playing out how Christmas with my family is going to go in my head over and over and over and over.
I don't
Um,
think it helps either that it's, the last name is Gaunt.
that's
All I
their
can
last
think
name.
about is, Harry Potter. Your
Oh,
family.
oh, no, not that family. The other family. That family Christmas is going to be fine.
Ah.
I was thinking about my family. Um, that's Brittany's family. Um,
Oh, Brittany. I didn't know you were he who should not be named.
um, that's a whole other side quest we could go down, but I'm not going to go there because they're the total opposite. They're the most like progressive, social
Oh, I
justice-y kind
love
of
that.
people I've ever met in my life. But this situation, like I have a feeling, and I hope I'm wrong. I have a feeling that politics or something along those lines is going to come up at my family
Yeah.
Christmas, and I hope that if it does, I'm able to respond in this type of way. Hey, I don't think this conversation is productive right now. We're going to take ourselves out of this situation. Um, I
I
hope
definitely did that.
that is able to happen
I
if
did that
we have that
when
issue.
my dad visited, and I honestly felt very empowered. I was like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
also feeling mentally, like, done with life.
Right. Like drained and
Yeah, and
heavy.
it's like dad was making, like, little comments and, like, little things, and I'm sitting here like, "Dad, that's what does that have to do with the story?"
Yeah.
Like, I do this all the time, I understand. Like, he was telling a story, and he, like, said where they're from. Like, "Oh, well, they're immigrants," or whatever. It's like, why does that matter?
Right. Okay.
Talk about their person. You're pissed off that this person did these things. It doesn't matter that they're an immigrant. There's a shit ton of non-immigrants.
That do the same bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Dad, we're immigrants. Like, in the long scheme of things, we are too."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, duh, 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 duh." And I was like, "Dad,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Our ancestors left a situation that they didn't feel comfortable with, that they
Yeah.
didn't feel like was helping them or working for them, so they left to better themselves, and that's what they did. Now, yes, they were probably, just as racist, but their situation is not anything different than immigrants from, Latin America.
Right.
Like, they're escaping war, they're escaping prejudice, they're escaping the, like, likelihood of not surviving because they can't afford certain things, or they can't do work, or, like, gangs come through and take, like, there's so many things
And
that they're escaping
honestly,
for.
and this is a whole other side quest, but here in the next 10 to 15 years, I have a feeling that a lot of Americans are going to be fleeing and be refugees and immigrants in other countries. So,
Yeah, and that's, like, something too where everybody is like, "Oh, we shouldn't be taking in the refugees," and I'm just like, I hope that if you ever have to become a refugee, if you ever have to, like, be a victim of war, victim of a shitty situation in your home country, and you flee to be a refugee, I hope they fucking deny you,
yep.
because that is the same energy you brought forth into that situation. And whether or not, like, Soulgrave is, at fault for everything that's happening, it is a religious thing that is happening. Can't fault them for that because maybe that's all they know. Whatever, cults happen. However, the fact that, like, we're showing Tanith, like, humility and understanding and that she is a human being proves that other people that she believes are wrong are incorrect. And that's what pissed me off when I went to Russia, because
Mm-hmm.
in Russia there was a bunch of men. We were, we couldn't sleep at night. It's 15-hour difference. You, like, shove yourself forward, so, like, things are different for you. We went to a cafe to get some coffee, to, like, get something to eat, to, like, maybe see if it'll help us sleep or, like, keep us awake for the day. And there was a bunch of people in there, and they were talking shit about us because we're American. There was one girl who didn't speak Russian. She took Spanish. So, of course, we all were speaking English with her. We all had an American accent, and they were all talking shit about us because they don't like us because they think we're racist. And it's like, I wanted to come to learn about your culture. Like, I think is beautiful.
Right.
Bloody, but beautiful. And it's just because I was American that they automatically like this bitch.
Because we have, I mean, not we, but our
Oh, it's
society as
oh,
Americans
it's
have put that out there.
so much worse now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so much worse now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's,
That was in
ugh,
2015 when things weren't as bad as they could be.
right?
So it's I don't know. Ash's dad really pisses me off because it reminds me of my own
Yes.
father, and it's I
Well,
love my
and this
dad,
whole
but oh my god.
situation is just like, Allele on page 310 starts to lose his mind. Like, he's like, I'm going to keep the Soulgrave Fae. She won't even say her name. Please move aside. And he's like, Ash is like, nope, can't let you do that. And Allele uses his power, which is like shadows, and makes the whole room dark. Not sexy shadows like Zayden. I mean, kind of, but not, no.
I was like really confused because Ash made a comment about or Malik when he opened the door to the townhouse. Um he it was described that there was just a rectangle of black.
Mm-hmm.
No shadows, no nothing. It was just pitch black everything. And I'm sitting here like not Malik, sorry, Amaris was the one because Malik was human, so he took Tanith to go. But I'm sitting here like so if I opened up a door and I just see a giant fucking rectangle, like, but I'm still there, but it's like a liminal space, but it's not a liminal space. Like, what?
Yeah, it was
I
wild.
was really confused. Maybe Zayden goes crazy.
And becomes Allele.
Yeah. Maybe this is the new version. Maybe this is Onyx Storm.
Right? Oh my god. Absolutely not. Um, so they're like having this whole fight in the dark, right? And it's weird and but it's interesting. And then on page 313, um, he said Grem is trying to stop Allele, and he says, "Stop. There are only 12 Reavers left in this world. You can't hurt each other. This needs to stop." I don't know how many Reavers there were to begin with, so maybe there were only 12. I don't know.
I question that too.
But then he continues to say, he's your son. Think of Odrin, who is dead. Think of your wife, who is dead. Think of Samael. What happened to Samael? Is he dead? What the
I
fuck?
think it's because he's like maybe a Northern Fae, or maybe he's Soulgrave Fae or whatever. Like
Maybe. I was just very
maybe it's
thrown
like
off by that.
remember maybe Samael has like kids in Soulgrave.
Maybe. I was just very thrown off because it was like, think of a dead person, think of a dead person, think of this person. And I was like, is this foreshadowing? Is this something we don't know? And there's another comment made in a couple of chapters that I was like, hold up. What is happening along these same lines? So I just had to make a comment on that because I was like, what the fuck? But
Maybe Samael has kids and they're just like think about him and what happened if like
maybe,
or maybe it's like think of the head of the Reavers.
right, think of your mission kind of thing, trying to
Think of
remind
your
him.
oath, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but the rest of that situation is basically Ash is defending her. And where did I write that?
Ash is doing an amazing job defending her, and I'm honestly, if this doesn't change her tone, Ash is gonna have to die to
right.
make her change the tone.
So they're now back at the castle, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're getting healing tonics and they're getting rags and water. And Tanith is just standing in the doorway and watching Ash bleed, basically, because he protected her. And I was just like, this whole crazy madness might have actually been good for the Tanith situation. And then on 318, I said, like I said. Because on
Like I said,
318,
girl.
Amaris was in the room with Ash talking to him about things. And Tanith, like, walks in and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And Amaris is like, nope, I was just leaving. Please, he's all yours. And
Bye.
Tanith, goes into, we don't know what, that's the end of the chapter, but I was like, yep, that is good for the Tanith situation. Like,
Ash lives another day.
and was it that chapter that we find out about Ash's feelings?
No.
No. Okay, well, that's the end of chapter 26 then, and we're on to chapter 27.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, this episode is going to be really long unless we speed this up. Chapter 27, there was a weird situation with Nox. She wakes up early to go, or no.
Oh.
She goes
They're
to the kitchen.
reporting.
And there's like a attendant or a servant there, and she's like talking to her.
She wakes up at noon.
Yeah, she wakes up late, not early. But she's asking her about her name, and then she's like, can I ask you questions about different things? About how the general public and Gwydir, the name just went out of my head. Is it Gwydir? Yeah. And I was like, I feel like we just got important information, but I don't know what it is. Like, yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
like how the servants like, yeah, we're all generally happy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So, and then they go to the war room and they're talking, and they're talking about so Nox is like, I want to learn more about the day-to-day life in Rascot. What is happening here? Like, what, what is where is it? She doesn't know anything about their culture or the history or the folk tales, like, and she's feeling bad about that, because how can you be the queen of a people if you don't know the people? And so they're talking about getting her a tutor, and she's like, Amaris says something about there's plenty of men who would jump at the opportunity to drool over you. And Gad is like, I think we'll pair you with a woman. Your education will probably be more thorough if we keep the drooling to a minimum. And Amaris, Yaslin, and Nox just fucking die laughing. Because, obviously. And then Gadriel's like, right, I'll find you a grandmother. And I was like, someone like Bree? Maybe? Is Bree still alive? I doubt it, but
True. Possibly. It's what is it? It's really sad though, because like Malik's gotta go away.
Yeah, he's gonna go to
Umreev
to check in, basically. And Nox is like, meh.
Like, excuse the fuck out of me, I don't want it.
Yeah, he's like,
but
can you not go?
At least they ended all of that banter, or all of that sadness with some banter, though. Like we'll get you a lazy, we'll get you this, or we'll get you that. But it's funny because he just calls her fucking lazy.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, you're gonna sleep the whole time anyway.
Yeah, right? So, okay.
What was I saying? I said on page 327, so much for neutral. But I don't remember why I said
so much for what? On what
so
page?
much for neutral on page 327. I think maybe Nox said something earlier about staying neutral when it comes to him leaving. I don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest with you. Well, I'll say my piece for page before, maybe it'll trigger. Um,
Oh, I remember why I said it. Go ahead.
oh, okay. You know how like in movies or at like all girl schools or all boys schools, there's always those teachers who just think that their like students are perfect. Um, Even though real life that's not the case. Like everyone knows something is happening, they just can't control it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gadriel is that teacher. He's well aware.
That's funny.
Or he should be well aware, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's fine. But we'll just do this.
Yep, I would agree with that. That's funny.
I also think Gadriel is strictly straight. He's not like
Agreed.
Zakai. Makes
I
me wonder
agree.
about Malik too. And Ash.
It's an interesting thought.
We know they've slept with a lot of women. We just don't know, like, if they've ever tried.
Yeah, I get the feeling personality-wise that Ash is probably straight.
Same with Malik.
And probably monogamous. I don't know. With Malik, I feel like
he's a giver.
Well, he's a giver, and I feel like if he was with Nox and Nox was like, I want to bring in Zakai, like, I think that Malik...
Zakai could show you a good time, Malik.
You're right. Like, I feel like maybe he is...
Maybe he'd explore.
Like, and, like, not romantically. Like, maybe he's the opposite of Amaris, where, like, she romantically only wants Nox, but he could sexually explore, but romantically only want women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Yeah.
I figured out why I said so much for neutral, because I was thinking about the Reavers and how they are supposed to be neutral between the North and the South, but he agreed with Nox on page 327 that his departure could wait till morning. After all, he said, one more night holding Rascot's queen couldn't hurt. So much for neutral.
Listen, I have all these ships happening and they're all setting sail, and I'm gonna be real heartbroken if none of them are true. If the majority of them aren't true. I am really shipping Tanith and Ash. I love them together. Their dynamic together is perfect.
I do too.
I texted Brandy. I was like, I'm getting giddy and I'm kicking my feet as if like I saw something or I like read like a spicy scene, and I really didn't. It's just like the romantic.
The tension I think between them is yeah.
Anyways.
So chapter 28 felt like Frost and Starlight. It was just fluffy.
It didn't need to happen.
Fluffy and kind of unnecessary. I get why it happened, but only because I have finished the book. So I understand why this chapter was necessary, but you don't understand it until later on. So chapter 28, Malik leaves and Nox gets up early and everyone is like, what's wrong? Why are you awake early? And that fucking cracks me up because literally if I get to work before 8 o'clock, everyone's like, what's going on?
Is someone getting fired?
And I'm like, nothing. I just woke up early so I came on into work because I can flex my time. So if I'm here early, I can leave early. But if I get there early, they're like, what's going on? And this cracked me up because I felt Nox's pain here. But then she decides to Oh, there's another conversation about Amaris demonstrating her abilities with not to Nox, and so that's awkward. And then Gadriel's like, "Why don't you guys go? Why don't you have Yaslin take you shopping?" Um, and so they go shopping, and they go to this like, it's giving like antique store flea market vibes, or like pawn shop almost.
Yeah.
Um, but it sounds like I want to go to the store because not only is it like an antique shop, but most of the items are spelled items or manufactured items.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And it's a kooky guy that's like running the store.
Yes. It's like this guy, yeah. And he ends up, once he figures out who she is, like once he realizes she's the queen, he gives her this ribbon.
Yeah, because Yaslin and her nonchalantness, oh, that's just the Queen of Rascot.
Right?
It's like, excuse the fuck out of me.
Right? So he shows her this ribbon and like puts it in her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he gives a letter opener or something. Pin. Yeah,
like
pin.
A little like push
like
pin.
Push pin to Yaslin, and is like, try to harm her with this. And she does, but because Yaslin is Yaslin, she also tries to stab her with her dagger. And
just needed to make sure.
Yeah, it just like reflects off. Like she can't touch her. But nice touches or like friendly intent can touch her. So he's like, she's like, how much do you want for it? And he's like, no, just it's armor. It's not a ward, it's armor. Just take it because it is only going to work if someone comes upon you with weaponry. Magic can still hurt you. And he's like, what if in exchange for the ribbon you promise to be a kind and fair queen? And she's like, no, like that's not, I can't do that. That's not fair to you.
Well,
And
he
there's
thinks
also
that's
a
pretty fair.
bird. There's also a bird in the shop, and I am cracking up because Yaslin's like, any chance the bird is for sale? Because the bird just like compliments you.
Yeah, it gives you nice compliments.
And so it says to Nox, the ribbon is lovely, you're quite clever, you have beautiful eyes. And Yaslin's like, any chance the bird is for sale?
And then he's like, no, how is it? Or I'm gonna need it to tell me how handsome I am.
With it. Yeah, who would tell me how handsome I am? So they then go to like get food or something.
Food or the library, cider. One of the two.
They go to get cider, and Nox tries to apologize to Yaslin. And Yaslin's like, are you trying to ruin a perfectly lovely winter day with talk of feelings? You said sorry already. I don't accept it because you have nothing to be sorry for. Nobody likes having to repeat themselves, so don't make me tell you again. Drink your cider.
Damn, Yaslin.
I mean, yeah, but also like I liked it. But this chapter just felt fluffy. At the time, I was like, I don't understand what the purpose of that chapter was.
I wonder
now
if it's. I wonder if it's because it has like they're starting to show what life could be like if there's no concerns or problems or anything. Right. And it's like a anchor for everybody to come back so that they can have that kind of life.
Don't eat it. Spit it out. Thank you. Aiden is tearing up a toy, and he was about to chew up and swallow a piece of rubber.
No.
Or whatever that toy is made out of. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 28. And then we go into chapter 29, and the beginning of the chapter is kind of bantery.
Yeah.
Like it's Tanith, Ash, and Amaris, and they're on like the training area. But Tanith is doing like yoga poses basically.
Yeah.
And
She essentially is doing like a scorpion, like when you like fall or whatever and your back legs go up. That's essentially what she's doing.
yeah. And Mars is like, I will pay you 400 romance novels if you could trade Ash to do that. But they keep going back and forth, and on page 339, which is that same page, just based on the banter and the like quips and the sarcasm, when I imagine Tanith in my head, I see Amryn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that I'm not gonna try to give anything away, but that only gets stronger as the book goes on.
Well, she's a powerful person, so
That
I could see it.
comparison, yeah.
There's
And then this gets even better. So at the end of this scene on page 340.
Tanith be dropping bombs. Shit.
Yeah, she does. So they're talking about their rings, and Amaris is like, her ring snags on her pants, and she's getting annoyed at it. And Ash is like, maybe Zakai will let you swap for one of the men's rings. Our stone is much flatter. And she's like, but mine's so much prettier. It has all those peppery flecks in it, and it's sparkly. And Ash is like, mine's solid black. I wonder why yours is different. And Tan's like, it's because Amaris's is a siphon and yours is not. And just keep stretching, which also reminds me of Amryn, because
yeah,
she just drops a bomb and just keeps going like she hasn't said anything wild.
Yeah, like she's like mid pose, getting ready, like she's moving slowly, and she's like, "Oh."
Yeah, and I just said, "Oh shit," because Amaris is about to go lose her fucking mind. Gadriel talks her into hearing Zakai out. And we find out that these rings, I think it's Malik, Amaris, and Yaslin.
Yeah, they all have the same diamond in it because they're the ones closest to her.
Yeah, so their rings have siphons on them. That
it's essentially for her life force.
Yeah, like it takes like their love and the way they feel about her and siphons it to Nox without them actually having to be right there.
Yeah, so in case they're away or whatever, and they can't be with her right then and there.
And then so 343,
which is so smart when they have to go down south.
Yeah,
because who knows who's gonna go with that?
Absolutely. And we don't know like what will happen if she or what if she gets captured. Like what any manner of things could happen.
Yeah.
But at the closer to the bottom of page 343, they're kind of talking about why Yaslin has one, why Malik has one. Like they gave them to everyone. They gave rings to everyone so no one would be suspicious why those three had them. And she's like, but why give one to me? And Gadriel's like, because you love her. And first of all, fucking duh, Amaris. Like, don't be dumb. Second of all, Nox is gonna be pissed when she finds out that you're doing all of this without telling her.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything else to the last page of the chapter on 345.
Okay, listen. When I cried, I tell you, I cried. This last page really ripped my. Yeah, this last page really had me in my feels. So Zakai comes over and hands her this leather necklace thing, which is what Odrin wore, and he got it for her when they removed the body. And it has And he's like, I thought you should have this, here you go. And she cried and she was sad. Um, and it had a little ornament engraved with the letter E on that. And I was like, E, is that like a kid that he lost? Like, before going
Mhm.
through everything. And it said, and she goes, for everywhere. Because I know you'll always be with me. And it's like,
Yep. Fucking sobbing.
I was like, okay, you can't go from one thing and then all of a sudden just like drop that tiny little bomb in there and then not expect tears to be done.
Oh my god. Sobbing.
Uh
Yeah. That was hard. And that's the
yeah.
end of chapter 29, which brings us to the end of this episode. Um, and I just want to say the next 2 episodes are going to be so wild. Just be ready.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
So on that note, until next time.
Bye.